Hi, my name is Art Neiswick. This is the Cloud Solutions Architect Professional Exam question number 1. This is part of the AWS Training TV. So what I'd like to do is go through the steps. We're going to go through and practice this. I'm going to be adding in this little slide here, 1 out of every 5 presentations, just to remind everybody. I don't want you to have to see it over and over again, but just to remind everybody, what we're going to do here is we're going to read the question. We're going to then search for the important terms in each one of the questions. And then we're going to try to visualize the problem by looking at like a little bit of a kind of a Visio explanation of what it looks like, just to help us remember and see what we're thinking about. Then we looked at the problem. We're going to review each one of the answers. Let me highlight this as we go through it all. Review the answers, and then we're going to rationalize and visualize each answers. Now, we don't always do that. If it's a small problem, we may just focus on the correct answer. But by visualizing the answers and just understanding them, we're going to see which one of these problems have flaws and don't make any sense at all. And we're going to then look at stuff that maybe doesn't answer all the questions, and we're going to have to make a decision. We're going to have to say, well, this isn't 100% right, but it looks close enough. And then we're going to, at that point in time, what I'd like you to do before we get into the final is I want you to pause the video and say, okay, which answer is it? After a second or two of you kind of pondering it on your own, then what I'm going to do is you could resume the video, and what will happen is you should then go through and I'll explain what the answer is in a way, not completely. I'm going to give you a big hint. So now you're going to hear kind of the rationale for the answer, but not the answer itself. And we're going to go again, and you're going to resume the video. And now you're going to look at the answers, all 4 of them again. And now that you've heard the hint, you've kind of heard what the answer is, look at it again and say, okay, now which one of these phrases matches to the hint that was provided? And then you again make a guess. It might be the same guess as the first time or different. And then you resume the video and you listen to the answer. So we're kind of going through processes. We're just forcing you to think through the issues. And that's what our goal here is, not just to say the answer is C and then move on to the next one. Is the answer is C to make you think about it a little bit. Okay, so let's go through this. All right, so here is the problem. Big problem. We're going to try to clean this up. And I'm going to read it out loud. And part of the reason I'm reading it out loud is for people who are in their car, might be listening to this. You could hear the questions and you prepare for them. I might make things a little shorter here and there because it's a really long question. You've been brought in as a solutions architect to assist an enterprise customer with their migrations of an e-commerce platform to a VPC, virtual private cloud. The previous architecture has already been deployed in a 3-tier VPC. The configuration is as following. VPC with an ID of VPC 2F8BC447. Now that's a long code, and what we're going to be doing in the future, and I'm going to do that while we describe this, is just focus in on the last 3 characters. So our last 3 characters, you do a double check to see if they're all different. If they're all different, then you can kind of not have to deal with these giant numbers and just focus with the last 3. So I'm going to say your VPC is going to be VPC 447. Let me get back up where we are. Your IGW, that's the Internet Gateway, is going to be 445. Your NACL is going to be your network access layer is going to be 448. You have subnets and route tables, which are going to, your web servers are going to have subnets 44D and 44C. Your database server is going to be 6F9. Your route tables are going to be 449, 443. There's a lot of reading here, I know. And your associations are going to be subnet 44D to 449, subnet 44C to 44B, 44B, and then 6F9 to 44B. Okay. This will be more clear later as we see it laid out. You are now ready to begin deploying the EC2 instances in the VCP. Web servers must have direct access to the internet. The application and database servers cannot have direct access to the internet. So what are we saying there? You're ready to deploy. The web servers must have access to the internet. That's obvious. Of course, web servers use the internet. However, the application and database servers cannot have access to the internet. So what we're saying is that if people want to get to the database or application servers, they're going to have to go through the web server. So no direct access to those. Which configuration will allow the ability to remotely administer your application and database servers, as well as allow these servers to retrieve updates from the internet. So we're saying here the term configurations to remotely administer the application and database. We've discussed how the application and database servers are not going to be accessed through the internet, but they're going to be remotely administered. So what does that mean? Right away, when you hear that phrase, you should right away jump into your mind and say, oh, so I need to set up a bastion host. A bastion host is basically, some people call it a jump table. It's going to be a machine that you could jump into, and then from that, which will be connected to the internet, and then from that machine, you'll be able to go to these other machines. It causes a step, which is going to be kind of a manual step to jump between the machines, but if that will help prevent people from directly accessing the machine. So let's go to the next slide to see if we can clean this up a little bit. As you can see, it's the same question here, and we have all these configurations laid out, all these different numbers. If we focus down on what's important, what is it? It's a three-tier VPC. Okay, it's VPC 447, IGW 445, the NACL is 448, and then we have several subnets. The web server is D, C, and you can see these are the only important pieces looking just at the last three characters. If you're taking the test, you could maybe write some of these down on a sheet of paper, but just get these in your head. The focus here is the web servers must have direct access to the internet. We discussed that. And the application and database servers cannot have access to the internet. So now we've kind of isolated, let's just look at those kind of shrunken up here a little bit. Okay, we're going to get, those are the codes, BP747. We lay them out. Just now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shrink up some of the concepts here to make them easier to understand. WS be web server, AS is app server, DB is database server. And let's kind of go a step farther here. And now we have our three-tier architecture with each one of these components. What does that look like? Well, the 447 we said is our VPC, and that's going to be the container of the whole architecture. We have three subnets, WS, which is our web server, AS, and DB. When we have the associated codes, and that maps up to everything. Okay. We have two route tables as defined in the configuration. One route table has the association of 44D to 449. The other one is 44C to 44B. So, and the last one is going to be DB, the database, 469 to 44B. So 44C, what is that? That one's going to be an application server. So we have these associations laid out. So here we are with our architecture, if we want to lay it out kind of completely with each one of the pieces. And these all connect to the Internet Gateway. As we described, what is interesting in this case here is if you go through each one of the problems, you start looking at these and you realize there's no statement here that says that this subnet can go to the Internet Gateway. Well, that's a little frustrating because we know that the subnet has to be public, the web server, and it doesn't talk about a route to the Internet Gateway. There should be one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put one in here in the assumption and assume they just forgot to mention it in the question itself. And what do we have here? Now we have the Bastion host, as we mentioned before. Bastion host is going to allow Internet users to access the box. So let's take a look at that. So case number one, create a Bastion host and a NAT instance in subnet 44D. Okay, so 44D, we create a Bastion host and a NAT instance. What is the NAT instance going to do? Well, the NAT instance is similar to Bastion host to a degree. The Bastion host is allowing you users to get into that server. They're going to jump onto that host. From that host, they're going to do an SSH, or they're going to do an RDP if it's Windows into the machine. A NAT server is going to go to the opposite, right? The NAT server is going to say that machine wants to pull updates from the internet. So it's going to go to that NAT host and it's going to say, hey, can you proxy me access out to the internet? So that way it's using a different IP address when it goes out to the internet and not letting people back in. So this first example here says create a bastion host and a NAT instance and subnet here, which is good, and add a route to 44B right here, which is to the NAT host from this 44C. That looks, so we have these two subnets, each one of them using this route table, 44B, okay? And in that route table, we're going to have a route which goes to the NAT, to that NAT host. And that is a pretty good situation. I don't see anything majorly wrong with that. Let's look at the next one. B, so I'm shifting these up, by the way. I'm sorry, we'll go down there. B, add a route to 44B. Okay, that's 44B to the internet gateway. So this is looking at setting a route so these guys can directly go to the internet gateway and add a bastion host to 44C. But remember, one of our strong rules is that these hosts cannot be accessed by the internet, and having a route to the internet directly, so I would just say B doesn't look very good. C, create a bastion and NAT instance and subset 44C. Okay, so we're looking in subnet 44C, which is going to be here, so we put that again in that host, and add a route from B to D. Okay, so we're going to add a route from this route table to the web server subnet. Okay, well, that's interesting, but that's not really getting us to where we want to go. Again, we need to get some kind of access to this bastion host to be able to get to the internet, and that really isn't going to work because this is private. So let's look at the next question. Now he's in a good spot. The bastion host is in the right area, can get to the internet. This could be used to get there. Create a bastion host and subnet and add a route from 44B, which is this route table, to 445, which is the internet gateway. Well, wait again. Again, we have a problem here, right? We're making direct access to the gateway. So when we look at this long problem, if we map it out, we see what? So why don't you pause for a second, I'll wait, and tell me what the answer is. So I'll give you a short question. Okay, we're back. Let's go to the hint. So the hint is that when you have these servers in your separate area, you need to have a route to the bastion host, and then the bastion host will need a route to the internet. So basically, this is pretty much a standard Amazon documentation on how you approach this thing. So what is the answer? The answer would be create a bastion host and NAT instance to the NAT and then let the NAT attack. Okay, thank you very much. That was the end of this exam. Hopefully, this question, we have a lot more questions to go through, but hopefully you got that one right. If you disagree with anything that I said, or if you want to get more of the questions as we add more and more, most of the questions are going to be in the publicly available. Some questions I'm going to also keep in the community, more of the advanced questions. If you could join the community, you'll be able to get access to those. Thank you very much, and happy test taking.